Yeah. So first we got like various emotions you're gonna experience in Valorant and like your base emotional state. Base emotional state in my head is just however you are with your friends when you're hanging out, like you're going out, getting lunch with your homies. That's how you should be feeling when you're in Valorant, just a nice, neutral, relaxed state, ready to do your thing. But then there are gonna be things that manipulate you away from that emotional state. So there's gonna be like hype, excitement, happiness within your game. Someone says something funny, you feel a little better, right? And you wanna make sure you're expressing these things with a team, wherein you're either at your base emotional state or your emotional state is being elevated. You want to be in communication with your team during those times, but make sure to limit to the scope of the game so you don't derail focus from your game. We've all had those ranked games where like we're just talking about some random ass shit, and it was like 10-5, and then all of a sudden it's 10-10, and you're like, what happened? And then on the other side of the spectrum, we got things that will lower our emotional state. So we got stuff like anger, your homie throws, and you're fucking pissed. Never say that shit in game. Nothing good will ever come out of it, ever. Just express that amongst yourself, which I'll go over later in the tilt stuff. And there's frustration as well, which you can express to your team, but you're gonna want to be very careful. Big thing with frustration is that it's difficult for it not to be perceived as anger. Lots of people will immediately perceive it as anger or criticisms, and they don't deal well with that. So if you are going to express your frustration, you really have to make sure that you're being perceived as giving constructive criticism. And if you aren't 100% sure that you can do that, don't speak.
Sometimes I'll get like constructive criticism. Like I'll tell this guy, like, yo, you can't pop flash. It won't flash him in long if you have the thing. And she was being so stupid like a couple times in the game. I was just like, oh yeah, you got to do this like that. And he's like, and she got so mad like half like towards the end of the game.
Okay. I mean, you could like reword that. Be like, "Hey, Sky, you gotta hold your flash out longer for it to flash them
Well, I don't
long
remember
enough, or whatever,
what
you know?"
exactly I said. It was like a month ago.
Yeah, but like the point is, if you want to give constructive criticism, first you have to make sure that you're speaking in like a higher tone than you typically do. You don't want to be talking like this and like talking down to them and be like, "Yo, Sky, that flash was so stupid," you know? But you don't want to actually point out what the problem was and then tell them how they could fix it. So be like, "Hey, Sky, when I swung, they weren't blind anymore. Next time, can you make sure you just hold your flash a little longer before popping it, because they changed your flash where you have to wait for like a duration for it to go all the way. You should see it when you flash. There's like a little bar on your screen. You just wait a little longer. Thank you." And then if they get mad after that, I mean, not your problem. You tried. You tried. But generally, I don't tell people how to like the intricacies of their characters and stuff or the map. I try to stay away from that because that's really hard to not take as like a personal attack, right? I prefer to take it the other way and like force them unknowingly to follow what I want them to do. Um, so like in the Sky example, I might tell Sky to play. Let me go to Valorant. So like let's say before, I'm gonna do bind because it's about to come back and this might be relevant for you because Sky's pretty common. So let's say you wanted to swing long, and Sky was swinging with you, so he was standing right next to you, and he pop flashes this far, right? And this isn't gonna flash very much, but you don't want to explain that to him. So the next time you want to do this, let's say like 2 rounds later, you tell him to stay on site and flash over, and this unwillingly forces him to flash properly and give a full flash to them because the bird will just naturally go a longer distance. So now you can swing and they're all actually blind this time. Kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's really hard to get people to understand that you're just like looking out for them, especially if it's like about an agent, and especially if they play the agent a lot or if they're filling. They'll just be like, "Bro, fuck you. Don't tell me what to do." And if you get to that point, it's kind of hard to bring it back.
Yeah. I feel like if someone would tell me like how to play Jet, I feel like I would get like mad at them.
Exactly. And that's how you gotta think of it. It's like if I'm telling this guy how to flash, or like any character, if I'm telling him in this way, if I said it the exact same way, or if someone else said it the exact same way, but to me on Jet, would I be mad? And if the answer is yes, don't say it. Like I say, like Sova did a shit dart. You don't go like, "Hey Sova, that dart's bad. Could you do one better?" Instead, you go like, "Hey Sova, instead of darting wherever you darted last time, can you dart here instead?" And you ping it. And then he goes, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem, dude." And that's constructive, like positive criticism because you're giving them a way to fix it. That's like the biggest thing. They need a way to fix it. If you just say something, that's not a critique, or that's not constructive criticism. That's just a critique, and no one likes that because
I
it's
don't
like,
even think
okay,
that's
great.
like criticism at that point because you're not telling them what they're doing bad. You're really just like manipulating them into doing what you want.
Yeah. That's what I call constructive criticism. It's like, hey, here's what you're bad at. That dart. That was a bad dart. Do this right one, please. Thank you. Shaboom.
I feel like whenever someone will try and like do that for me, I feel like it always fails, like extremely. Like it doesn't work.
What do you mean?
Like if someone would, I don't have a specific example, but like he's like, "Hey Jet, can you do this?" And then I'll do it, and then it fails. Like it doesn't work.
Oh, all good. All good. You know, if someone suggests something and it doesn't work, then you're just like, oh, whatever. We just won't do that again. Like if you tell Sova to do something, some dart, or you tell Asa to like do some KO flash and it doesn't work out, like, it ends up full blinding you
Oh,
by
oh yeah. Like
accident, and it's like,
apparently
okay,
Asa
oops.
just stopped playing Valorant.
Okay,
Like he
cool.
had a deep talk with Alua or something.
Okay. Um. Anyways, you ask someone to flash for you, and you just get full fucking blinded. Then you're like, oh, okay. Well, do I try to tell them to flash a different way next time, or do we just not do that play again? And you just make that choice and you run with it. Sometimes it's just not gonna work out. It's all good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Sick. So let's talk about tilt, because usually people aren't too worried about being happy in Valorant. If you're not happy, get good or listen to music. If you are angry though, that can be problematic, especially when it devolves into a state of tilt. So first of all, we've got to understand, what is tilt. Tilt originates from your expectations and the inability to meet them. So your expectations could be wanting to win, not wanting to waste time, wanting to be happy while playing, wanting to prove mastery of an agent, wanting to reach a certain amount of first bloods, any of these things that are not completely within your control. And that can be problematic, which ties in heavily to what we talked about on Thursday with the improvement versus winning mindset. It's pretty hard to tilt if you have that improvement mindset. So again, we tilt because something triggers us and we feel a lack of control, and this will take us out of flow state and mess with our balance in the game, take us out of that neutral base emotional state that I talked about earlier, and it could really fuck with you. So when you're experiencing tilt, fuck, dude, my throat is so or my voice is so ass from yesterday. Um, when you're experiencing tilt, there are a few things you can do. First of all, is just trying to release it through deep breathing. So for 4 seconds, you breathe in, you just hold for 7 seconds, 8 seconds, you breathe out. Just deep breaths. Do that like, oh shit, you died because your teammate pop flashed and it flashed you and you got shit on. But there's like 30 seconds left in the game until like you have to start again. So, just do 2 reps of that, 2 reps of deep breaths, and that should be able to help. If not, you can try writing it down on a sticky note or on a notepad somewhere and just try to channel your emotions onto the page. You know what I mean? But my personal favorite is light exercise. I'll just do some push-ups, open my blinds, and be like, "Damn, it is a nice, bright, sunny day." Not really. It's been raining for the past 3 hours, but in this ideal scenario, is a bright, sunny day. I just did some push-ups. How could I be mad? Let's get back to Valorant, right? And of course, make sure you're drinking water and have a nice little snack. Eat a banana, some granola bar, eat an apple, bro. Be happy. Food makes you happy. Exercise makes you happy. Sunlight makes you happy. Try doing some of those things. Mitigate your tilt, and prevent you from getting into a state where you're like lost. Alternatively, you could listen to music as well. I've got a little playlist that I use sometimes, but usually by the time I get to using it, I'm far gone. So I don't think music is as effective, so I didn't include it here in the notes. Escaping and recovering from tilt. So first thing, as with all issues, but especially for tilt in a game, it's got to take you out of your mojo, right? So you have to acknowledge that. Gain awareness of the fact that you are actively tilting and be aware that that is causing you to lose your games. That is causing you to communicate with your team in a way that you would not like to. That is causing you to play suboptimally. That's causing you to forget what you're supposed to focus on in your game for improvement. And release that intensity with any of the prevention tactics that we mentioned earlier, especially something that's especially useful is going to be those deep breaths that really helps release the intensity. Just let it flow out of you and shift your focus back to what you need to be doing to improve. Go, man, you know, that was pretty shitty of me. I just like let loose on my teammate. I got to chill out. Let me go back to focusing on my notes. I know I've got to go take aggressive fights. Hey, Sky, can you flash for me? Just flash over right here on this ping, and I'll swing. Thank you. And just make sure you're feeling the mistakes. Feel what made you tilt. You got to get to it at the source. And then you can use that to shift onto what you want to do with it. But you got to attack the source of it, which is why, again, like this stuff like exercise, drink water, music, that's why it's a bit lower, because these are more attacking the symptoms, and why circular breath and journaling are way up. And then after you feel tilt, don't queue another game, please. Stop throwing. After you feel tilt, it's very hard to address the source in the first place. So I doubt you're doing it. So you probably didn't actually address your tilt. But even if you did, don't queue another game. Take a little break. You know, actually like go outside, take a walk, touch some fucking grass, come back, and ask yourself, did I resolve my tilt? Yes or no? If yes, queue another. If not, get off. Don't come back. Take a break, at least like an hour, and just don't come back. Go do something else. You don't have to play the fucking video game. It's not life. Like, there are other things to do.